Welcome to the next podcast from Millinery.Info.
I'm your host, Lauren Ritchie, and it's so wonderful to welcome you to this series. In the Millinery.Info podcast, we welcome leading milliners across the globe into your ears and studio. Today, we're very excited to have Marthe Dumas join us. She's based in France and wasn't very confident being a non-native English speaker, so invited a friend to join her for today. So the format might be a little bit different how you hear the questions and answers phrased, but I really hope you'll enjoy hearing more about her story. Thank you so much to our wonderful Patreon podcast sponsors for their support of this series. It wouldn't be possible without them. Jennifer Hertz Millinery, the Millinery Retreat School of Millinery, Hat Blocks Australia, Hat Magazine, Hat Academy, Hatters Millinery Supplies, House of Adorn, Judith M. Millinery Supply House, Hats by Lego, Lifted Millinery, Louise McDonald Milliner, Millinery Australia, and Barcelona Hat Days. Thank you so much to those who have joined us over on our Patreon page. I've seen a few people signing up to thank you to Millinery.Info and Millinery.Info You Inspire Me. It really does bring joy to us seeing how much you love this podcast, and we're so grateful for your support in this way.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's podcast. It's so exciting to have you as part of this podcast series, and all the way from France. It's wonderful to have you here.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you too to have Marthe on this podcast. She's very honored to be part of it.
Let's go back to the beginning. How did you first become involved in millinery?
So I first became interested in millinery when I began embroidery training at the Lycée La Source in Nogent-sur-Marne, so in the suburbs of Paris. There was a millinery class at the school, and I can't explain why, but I was drawn by this accessory. For me, it felt obvious, innate, as if it had always been part of me. What appealed me the most was a creative freedom about this hats. I felt far freer and more imaginative making a hat than designing a garment, for example. So there are just so many possibilities with hats. I was especially taken with the sculpture in space aspect of it. So I asked to attend every millinery class available and did all my work placement that year exclusively in millinery. So yeah, that's how she started to become very attracted by it.
Who was teaching the classes, the millinery classes?
So it was the lady who works at the Opéra de Paris, the hat maker there in the Opéra de Paris back in the time. She was the teacher there at this time.
Where did you train and what were the best aspects?
So from an early age, I was drawn to the performing arts in general, art world, and especially to the role of a costume designer. So after a year of embroidery, I completed a DMA, which is a diploma of métier des arts, so you can translate by artwork diploma in general.
Yes.
But specializing in costume design at Lycée La Source, where I talked about earlier, and followed by a CAP in fashion and theatrical millinery. So it's certificate in fashion and theatrical millinery, so it's quite specific, but at the same school. That was the beginning of a rich and varied journey at the crossroad of several disciplines. I then moved between roles, so I did costume designer, millineries, dresser, and later sewing tutor for adults retraining in the field. Gradually, I realized that hats were naturally taking precedence over costumes. So I liked both aspects of it, but I was more and more attracted to only hats. Unlike costume work, I felt no apprehension about creating hats, even complex models I never made before. So over time, I was increasingly asked to make hats rather than costumes. Perhaps it was also a sign that I had to only focus on hats. I have the good fortune to work in many different sectors, haute couture, TV, live performance. I've also collaborated with names such as Mary Mercier, I don't know if you know her. She's a famous hat maker in Paris. Tony Petto, also a famous one, Thierry Bibi, and the Opéra Bastille I told you earlier, Maison Michel, the famous name, for Chanel, and also the Opéra Comique in Paris. So the desire to express my own ideas led me to start my own brand. which I began developing actively in 2017, I would say. Today, designing hats for private clients, for everyday wear or special events, such as wedding, of course, as well as professional in performance or media, such as TV series. I also made a hat for a TV show called Paris Police, 900,000. It's a French TV show. TV show, yeah. On Netflix, yeah. More recently, I began a collaboration with Ubisoft for the video games Just Dance. So various aspects and various kind of hats, but also different universe. And alongside millinery, I also enjoy sculpting, clay especially, another way of exploring volume and three-dimensional forms, which in turn enriches also my millinery work. So yes, that's it for this one.
Very good. Do you use the clay forms in your millinery or for block making at all?
Non, pas encore.
No, not
Non,
yet.
pas encore.
Not yet.
But,
Separate still.
It's going to happen at some point.
Mais pas en...
And what is your studio space like now? Where do you work from?
So at the moment, my workshop doesn't really look like a proper workshop because I work from home. So there are materials everywhere. We are doing some renovation work in the house. So I'm currently reorganizing the space to make it as functional as tidy as possible. The thing with millinery is that the equipment takes a lot of space. As you know, it's wooden hat blocks, swing machines, hat presses, and so on. So I'm always on the lookout for new materials and new machines too. So I never throw anything away, not even a 10-centimeter pieces of ribbon. I keep everything because I'm convinced that you can create wonders with that very little tiny, and that creativity thrives on limitations. So she always keeps everything at home, but she's organizing it now.
Yes.
But she has a place in the house where it's reserved to be actually, and it looks really nice. So look at the fashion for the 40s, for example. Women couldn't afford to buy hats, so they made beautiful turbans, and instead of wearing a nylon stocking, they painted them on to give the illusion. So I aim to work more and more with reclaimed and second-hand materials too, to give them a second life. Once again, I truly believe this encourages greater creativity. So Marthe collects a lot of pieces of things, and she keeps a lot of things, but this is how she works too. That's
yes.
The showroom is starting to it's growing. It's good.
How would you describe the style or the aesthetic of the hats that you're creating at the moment?
So I don't have a specific style, I would say. It's just that I'm really, like, my first inspiration would be nature. So if I see a book about nature, or if I go in the forest, also all the wildlife, like insects or like small, very thin, like she likes also a little surrealism, like sometimes like the little things that remind you of nature or stuff like that. And she doesn't have a proper style, but she can get inspired. I can get inspired by nature, insects, wildlife, and also material is also sometimes I feel like a material. Imagine something from a material that I didn't imagine before until I see the material. So it's different things that inspired my work. But I don't have, I do a lot of experimental. I don't have a specific, maybe.
Enfin, cela dit, je peux dire que j'aime beaucoup utiliser c'est vrai, le feutre. Tu sais, des découpes de feutre, j'aime bien le feutre, la matière, le feutre.
C'est quoi le feutre?
Felt.
Felt, so I really like felt. Yes. Felt is my favorite material.
Des choses en fait.
And I love experimenting things with the felt fabric. So I never have a specific.
Surtout quand il y a beaucoup de couleurs.
When there is a lot of colors, I don't have a specific model in mind. I always try things around, experience, and then something come out of it from the imagination. And so I work too. It's not strict. And
where do you source your felts from?
So finding felt now sourcing felt is quite hard at the moment because it's more and more it's a rare fabric. So I try to find it in France. There is few providers still, like sourcer in England, of course, and also she does a lot of flea markets or yard sales to find some interesting fabrics that are also have that have a story and that are not brand new. So she tries to, but it's hard to find actually. So it's more and more complicated.
Do you create a collection, or how do you sell your pieces?
So I developed and designed 3 collections. When do you start to do the first collection? So in 2017, I did my first collection, and I did 2 other ones. It's on my website, you can find them. But now I did a little pause because I had a lot of personalized like requests, and also so the one for Ubisoft that I talked earlier, and now I work for a costume stylist, fashion designer. So she has a lot of demand. So she doesn't have I didn't have the time to work on a recent collection since my last 3 collections, but this year I hope to have the time to develop one. But also, like I said, depends on the fabric I find. I don't put myself like.
Et puis ça dépend si j'ai des commandes.
Yeah, and it's also the command, like the orders I get, specific order, I take them first, and then if I have time, I work on my own collection. But sometimes time it takes a lot of time to make hats, and especially when I do it with all the research.
J'aime beaucoup les collections.
But I wish to do a new collection soon because I like the idea of creating a whole universe around different hats, like having a starting point and then exploring different shapes, fabric, but also all the story you tell about it when you do the photo shoot, the makeup, the model. So the whole, it's the whole story. So I miss it, but I hope to have the time this year, hopefully, to work on a new, maybe smaller collection, like less hats. But yeah, the priority is orders, working with collaboration, and then if I have enough time, I have the time to do my own line.
Is the majority of the work you're doing theatrical hats?
So at the moment, it's for the one I'm doing for the fashion designer in London. What's his name?
Clément Thomas.
So for the hats I'm working with Clément Thomas, collaborating with him. It's theatrical in a way because it's very haute couture, and it's not the everyday hat, but so it's still kind of theatrical, but it's in the haute couture, so it's fashion related.
En même temps, c'est ce que je préfère faire. C'est complètement fou.
That's what I prefer to do also because it's you can go further, and you don't have the limits of doing a hat that you have to wear and to be comfortable.
Des fois, c'est des challenges niveau technique en fait.
And it's also I take it as a technical challenge to have to do a hat that is a bit crazy or not the hat you will find every day. So it's also the favorite part of the job is doing hats that is not so common and explore, have the freedom to explore more ideas and materials and shapes.
How did the collaboration with the designer start?
So I started to work with Aaron. It's a designer who went to St. John Martin School. I worked for him, did some hats too. And he gave contact to Clément Thomas, who contacted me about his need and our collaborative work. So this is how I started to work with him. For another hat designer. And I did, for Aaron, I did 2 alien hats you can see on my Instagram. So it was a very challenging technical project because it was quite hard to make, but I was happy to work. But it gives you an idea of the crazy thing you can do.
You can come up with some wild designs and ideas. Do you contribute to that hat design process, or do they come to you with a specific idea?
So it's both, because the designer has an idea, of course, but the technical issues or don't know how do you make it with the materials, how you make it look alive and make it realizable. Marthe has a big impact on that because I have to find a good fabric to show him like the thing we can't do actually, the thing we can do instead. So it's collaborative work because it's always moving hat because it's never what he really wants, but then we find a way to make it to make it happen. So it's a collaboration between his idea, but also Marthe's input for making it live and possible.
A true collaboration.
Yeah.
What have been some career highlights for you so far?
So every collaboration has been meaningful to me. I was trusted and I learned so much working in, like I said before, various settings, whether in performance or media or haute couture. So I think of places like the Opéra Bastille, the Maison Michel for Chanel experience. When I worked for the TV show Paris Police, like I told you earlier, for Netflix, with costume designer Anaïs Roman. So, but that being said, I highlight two key moments in my career, I would say. The first one was in 2019 when I took part in the Felt Makers Design Competition. I don't know if you heard about it. It's organized by Mrs. Rachel Trevor Morgan. And there I won the special category awards. So it was craftsmanship prize for best artisanal art. At the award ceremony, I had the chance to meet and speak with one of my millinery icons, Philip Tracy, that I'm sure you know. So that was one of the best key moments. And then the second memorable moment was this year, actually, when I received the craftsmanship award during the 15th edition of the Rencontre Internationale des Arts du Chapeau on the theme L'art et la manière. So when I create, you're always full of doubt. You don't know if it's good enough, you don't know if it's beautiful enough, it's original enough, modern enough. You're constantly questioning yourself. So when your work is being recognized and rewarded, it's truly incredible. It's especially because this prize was marked by the presence of my second millinery idol with Stephen Jones. So I was really happy and proud. Without being too pretentious, of course, but it was very unbelievable, both unbelievable moments and rewards in my career.
It was a beautiful piece. It received the award for craftsmanship. Yeah. I was looking at the description. It was amazing. Could you tell us a little bit about the hat and what the theme was, as you said, the art and the manner? What inspired you for this beautiful piece?
So for some years now, I've been collecting, like I told you, offcuts, off-topic cuts. So I always keep things. I have a big collection of leftover fabrics and offcuts. And I have a big box of multicolored scraps. So I'm not sure exactly why, but they remind me of the art movement Pointillism. Pointillism is painting with small dots. Pure colors placed side by side. That's when I thought of using my felt scraps to make little colored dots. So as for the hat shapes, the beret was an obvious choice, of course, the movement that was born in Paris, and the beret is such an iconic Parisian hat. So I had to do a beret. This piece is a tribute to the French painter Georges Seurat, who developed the pointillism technique in the 1880s. The white felt base also echoes the blank canvas, so it made sense for me to use the blank base. So it's a white felt beret, entirely covered with 6,350 tiny multicolored felt dots. Each one individually.
A lot of dots.
Each one. The top is adorned with traditional tuft. I said you could translate it by this. Also covered in dots. The hat features a wide black grosgrain ribbon as the headband. So yeah, it was an ambitious project. Took me a long time. How long it?
Je sais pas combien de temps.
I didn't calculate or keep trace of all the time, but it was very.
Je me suis juste dit, je vais compter les pastilles. Allez,
Yeah, but I did count the felt dots, but it was very. It was a long one, but I was really proud to make it happen and to actually want to. So this is the little description and the story behind it. I love art too, and paintings is also a good part of my inspiration. So this is the best way for me to make it alive and to explore these ideas of art and felt and art making.
Ouais.
Art is such a generic theme. And I thought I had to find a way to make it, and it's really the leftovers of all the things that I collect. Like I told you earlier, that everything make it made sense at some point that I had to do this. Like because every time I do a hat or that I do sewing something, I always keep everything. It's crazy. Like it's really part of how I create and how it inspires the next work. It's all like linked together. So. This one was a good.
C'est pour ça qu'il faut pousser plus bien dans le workshop parce que là,
that's why I need a bigger space to keep all the little.
Et on n'a jamais assez grand l'atelier.
Yeah, it's never big enough anyway. So
No, never.
Never.
Is it a technique you'd used before or something you developed for this design specifically?
No, it's the first time. This first time I explored this technique for this hat. So when I went to the price reward, I made a hat for me where I used the same technique on my the hat I made. So maybe it will inspire new hats, but
Sur plein justement, le bleu d'Iflin.
So it's always a good, every hat inspire another hat, and it's.
Ouais. Et ça, j'aime bien le feutre.
But she loves the.
Ouais.
I like the felt. She like the felt. Felt fabric.
Ça m'inspire.
Wonderful. You have such a unique opportunity being based in France. You mentioned about working for Sri Bibi and for the luxury brands. What was that experience like, and what was it like being in that workroom?
Yeah, being able to work in the luxury environment and the haute couture codes, it was very. It teach me a lot and bring me a lot of, especially about technical aspect of the work, because everything is very, has to be very done millimetrically. Like you can't do a mistake. If you do something wrong, you have to redo it. So it's very rigorous and hardworking. So it teaches you a lot about this, and she always knew about new technicals. I always learn new way to walk around the house.
Chacun a sa manière de travailler aussi.
And also, you meet people that have all their own technique and their own way of walking around the hat. So it's very you learn a lot from the others too, and so it's a very strict environment. So it's a good aspect to learn. A lot about the techniques and rigorous rigorous work.
And your studio where you are now, is that based in Paris as well?
It's in so I don't live in Paris anymore now. I bought a house in Provins, which is an hour 30 from Paris. So it's not far, so I go to Paris often also to get inspiration and fabrics, of course. But now I work from home from Provins. It's a medieval village it's historical village in close to Paris. So it's nice to be in the countryside, and like I said, nature inspires me. So I have a garden now. I have my own fruits and vegetables. So it's quieter and more space, because in Paris everything is so pricey. So if you have to have a workshop, you have to. So it's better for me to have moved to the countryside and healthier life. But I go to Paris for work.
It's a beautiful city, but also the countryside is so lovely to be in as well.
It's special.
What project are you working on next? What can we look forward to seeing you make?
So I'm still working with Thomas Clément, like I told you, for his couture collection for runway. When is the runway?
Je sais plus comment ça. C'est Suisse.
C'est Suisse.
Je vais chercher.
It's in Switzerland.
Ouais.
So I'm still working on this collection with him for the Swiss runway that is happening.
C'est un défilé en Suisse.
It's a runway in Switzerland. Then if I have new orders, I will take them. But like I told you earlier, then my next project is working on this fourth collection with my own design, my own ideas. No one to tell me what to do, and only me and my imagination to work on this fourth collection. So I hope I will have time this year to work on this. If not, it will be beginning of next year. I will start to work. So we'll see. The future will tell us.
Well, we can't wait to see what you create next and see what other fabulous things you do with these felt materials. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
I'm really honored to be part of this podcast.
Et je suis désolée de pas être bilingue.
And to share my ideas and because it's how we also work when we are in the hat making and getting inspired by other stories. So it's a good way to connect with others hat makers. So I'm really happy to have met you today and to have the opportunity to be part of this podcast. So thank you very much.
Travailler mon anglais.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Millinery.Info. I hope you enjoyed hearing this episode. Thank you so much to our wonderful Patreon podcast supporters for their support. These include Hat Academy, Millinery Australia, Hatters Millinery Supplies, House of Adorn, Judith M. Millinery Supply House, Hats by Lego, Lifted Millinery, Louise McDonald Milliner, The Hat Magazine, Hat Blocks Australia, the Millinery Retreat School of Millinery, Jennifer Hertz Millinery, and Barcelona Hat Days. You can find a link to each of these businesses in our show notes, which you can find in your podcast app or through the Millinery.Info website. When you head across to the website, you'll also find some photos that accompany this episode. If you'd like to hear your business name mentioned here, please head across to the Patreon page where you can sign up to become a podcast sponsor. I'm your host, Lauren Ritchie. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode, and I look forward to talking hats with you again soon.